Hey everyone, this is Miguel with the H Metal, and we're here outside of Joe's Grotto, Phoenix, Arizona. And pretty much after another successful concert of Moonspell tonight, which pretty much was amazing. For you can tell by my voice, it's totally gone.
Yeah, it's worse than mine. What's going on? What's wrong?
Well, obviously the first question will be, how's been this tour so far? Four dates on. This one will be pretty much the fifth date, and how is the feeling of the tour so far?
Well, I think that once we get, in the States, and when the tour starts and when the show starts happening, I feel always great about it because sometimes, the process of getting here is what is annoying for the bands and for everybody involved. But when we got this, chance to headline after the tour with Marduk, with a new acquisition, we said, yeah, let's give it a try. It's one of the last tours before we do a new album. So far, it's going incredible because, you know, uh, all our hard work in the States is paying us off, not probably with the biggest crowds, but with very loyal crowds of Moonspell fans. And I think that's a nice way to start the tour.
Well, last year the package was different. We have Marduk, Inquisition, Dead Wolf, and the Foreshadowing. It was a totally different mindset. In this tour, it feels like it's more towards or more appealing to Moonspell's fans and Moonspell music. You have Lipsize and you have Atrocity. Um, how is the mindset that you put yourself at the time to put together these bands? I mean, do you just pick the bands, or is something that is out of control of Moonspell?
No, I think we always try to have, a good solid musical unity. And obviously, we always prefer when the bands have more to do with us so that people can have this experience you talk about with the more familiar, closer sound, even though the three bands on this package are very different. They all have points in common, the symphonic, the death metal here and there. So I think nowadays two kinds of tour happen, like a package tour, like we did with Marduk, that was successful exactly because of its diversity, even though it was a very extreme tour for what we normally do. But it was great, and it was a challenge for us, playing between Inquisition and Marduk. But I think we really came really well across, and I think this tour kind of proves it. And but obviously, like for instance, as an example, one of the best tours we ever did was us, Catatonia, and They Like Dies. Musically, there was a perfect match for me. Back in the early days, one of the best tours we did was with Typo Negative, when Cradle of Field as well. So we always try, when it's in our power and with a tour that we can headline and ever sang, we always try to have bands that will feel more comfortable with their music, definitely.
Well, this year marks 2 years after Alpha Noir and
Yeah.
Omega White it came out. And are you guys working a new material, or is more extensive that you guys want to work the latest album?
Well, we toured a lot for for this album, and it seems like we were trying or thinking about probably only next year spend a year more on the road. But all of a sudden, two things happened. A lot of requests start coming in again, and we also felt the urge of probably not going to accept all these requests, which honor us in a way as a band, but to concentrate on a new album. Just because we were listening to each other's ideas, and I think probably we'll rush it a bit more. Not because we have to. I mean, we take our time between albums because fortunately there's always concerts, festivals, and gigs. But on the other hand, when it comes to a new album, there's a different kind of spark, there's a different kind of need. So I hope that we start working on this new album when we get back home, rest for a couple of weeks or days, and then our next goal will definitely be the new album. Playing shows all the time, we already have many shows confirmed, but we'll take a break to write more new songs. If it's come out this year or next year, for us it doesn't really matter. We just don't want to rush. So I think that we're looking at the 2015 release. If not, if the album is ready and it's spontaneous and it's good to go, we'll not have a problem releasing this year as well.
2015 also marks the 20-year anniversary of Wolfheart. Are there any plans to pretty much? I mean, I don't know if a tour or add some kind of like some special show. I mean, playing the album back to back.
Well, we already did that a couple of times, and it was very special for the fans and very successful. And with the album coming to its 20th anniversary, um, it's probably we'll think of doing something like this because it's an album we love. It's an album that brought us a lot of excellent things happening in our life, and if for a lot of fans was a life changer, imagine for us it was a real life changer. And we still play a lot of songs from Wolfheart live, and we know how to play them all. And we did it a couple of times as a special, like we did it in Inferno Festival in Norway. We did it once in Portugal on a Halloween show. We did it a couple of times, not to do it a lot, and we always get a guest singer. The last one was Mary Angela from the Murtas, from Tristania. She was singing Love Crimes with us, and she really nailed it. And so I think when 2015 knocks on the door, I think we'll for sure do like a couple of dates of what we call vintage show, because Wolfheart is just a 40-minute album, 40 something. So normally what we do is that we play songs up to 96 when it really just was out, and sometimes we did that as well already once in Lisbon when we re-recorded Under the Moonspell. We played all the songs, the demo songs and everything, and we didn't know if people would connect to such underground stuff even if re-recorded, and it was one of the most amazing nights we had in Portugal. It was brutal. Yeah,
I feel jealous about that. I love the album. You mentioned something about Halloween, and I was looking at your page, and it was some sort of teaser for 30 from October 31st this year.
yeah.
Is any hint that you can give us about what's going on?
Well, we are going to confirm it. I'm kind of lost with time because it's a different time in Portugal, but we kind of confirm it tomorrow, so I cannot already say where it is. I mean, it doesn't really matter because we are in Phoenix, Arizona, so the show will be in Portugal. That far I can say, and it's a little bit the return of Moonspell to make such a show again, because we got this from Typo Negative. They always did these Halloween shows, we played on them on a Halloween night as well, and we thought it was amazing. So we said to ourselves, why not do this in Portugal? And we did it, and the show started being so successful that people are expecting a new show every year. But these last 2 years, we were too busy touring abroad, and we were spending Halloweens elsewhere. So it's a very important thing for the Portuguese crowd, because they have a place now to go on Halloween, and that's their problem, because sometimes they feel totally lost if there is not a Moonspell show around.
When you think about Portugal and metal, you think about Moonspell always. And in 2010, the postal office released a stamp honoring Moonspell. How does it feel for you or for the band? How that gesture impact the band?
Very much. I think it was one of the nicest gestures that when it comes to recognition, because Portugal did Moonspell did a lot of things in Portugal, not only abroad but especially in Portugal, that other national bands or local bands, unfortunately not because of lack of talent but the lack of, momentum, we came into a time where people were needing a Portuguese band to compete with the bands that were, blossoming from everywhere, from especially Scandinavia, everywhere. So we were fortunate enough that we were that band, and that created a very strong connection between us and the Portuguese crowd. And little by little and slow by slow, year after year, we got all this Moonspell phenomena, like gold record in Portugal, first place in the charts, start getting people's attention, and we started to get a lot of respect. Not enough, because it's always a fight sometimes. But when we got approached, there's this radio journalist that is like a mythical figure of Portuguese rock scene since the 70s, and he was the guy picking up the bands, and he picked up Wolfart's cover, and there's very, very important Portuguese rock bands and albums there, so we were quite excited about it, and quite proud of it as well. And also, I mean, most of the beginning of our career, we had to deal with the post office, and we had to send tapes everywhere in the world, but we could never expect that nobody sends tapes anymore, but if they did, they could now use a Moonspell stamp. It stands for €1. No, it's actually the most expensive. It's €2.
Wow.
Yeah, the nominal value is just €2, because as we have an international profile that is stronger than the other bands, they thought it will be a cool stamp that you can, send postcards and small letters outside with the Moonspell stamp. A lot of fans throughout the world, they bought it, they collected, they traded in between them. I'm holding up to a couple.
So it's still in circulation?
No, it's not in circulation.
It's not in circulation anymore?
A collection, and the way they do it with the Portugal Post Office is that it's in circulation for a couple of weeks, and then they take it. Yeah, it's like a special collection, because it's made exactly for special collectors, but they want to have the fans also try and buy it. But it came out in different editions, and the special collectors got their stuff, and they are very picky people that collect stamps. They want the stamp from the first day, so they go to the post office to get it stamped the day of the release. Yeah, it was a little bit like...
That's quite important for a metal band to be recognized from their own country. I think that's really important, because I mean, many countries have metal as something that is not so common. Well, if you are exception of Scandinavia, for example, which is totally normal.
It took a long time and a lot of patience as well, because normally the Portuguese media likes other kinds of artists. Portugal is not... It's much better now than what it was, but Portugal was not like a rocking country. There was always like folk music, and then hip hop took over. So sometimes rock has to, put a fist in the air and say, "I'm here," and it's very good that things happen, even with more extreme forms of rock, like in Moonspell. So it's quite cool, to be recognized in the part on that movement. But believe me, in countries like Portugal, it doesn't come without a fight. Sometimes it's hard, because it wasn't like being in the States or in the UK or even in Sweden, living all the 70s. No, things were hard in Portugal, so people didn't have time or the permission to listen to rock at all, because it was all under a fascist dictatorship. So, but nowadays it's much better, and even though when you get big in a country, you get your share of haters as well, and we do have a lot of them in Portugal. I think I'm happy, because what we mostly get, not only from the fans, but from our friends in other bands, is a lot of respect. Even bands that started way before Moonspell, and that we have listened to them and that have influenced us, metal bands, and we get a lot of respect. And there's a blossoming rock scene in Portugal, and I think that's awesome. If Moonspell was a part of it for the metal, definitely, and that's a great sensation.
Definitely have to congratulate you on that. I mean, it's incredible, an achievement for a metal band to be recognized of that kind in your country. Now, last year, it was the first time that you guys went to Asia, went to Beijing. How was the experience to play in a different country, in a pretty much different culture, after being used to play, North America, Europe, South America?
It's totally different, you bet so. But bands have always the need to expand, and from what we were watching, in these last few years with global metal, with coming to India, more extreme bands, we decided to try our luck as well, and it was a very very cool first experience. And the best is that won't be the last. So we're trying to book dates for Asia already for next year, because Moonspell was always, for instance, even for the United States, our audience was totally European, and we did very well in Europe, but we couldn't go anywhere else. So we tried for the US, and slowly by slowly we're getting more people listening to Moonspell here, and it will be the same process with some countries in Asia, and also with Australia, because it's Portugal, it's far, but it's definitely on our agenda to play these countries, especially after the Beijing experience. It was great. I mean, we did a crazy tour, started in the east of Europe, went to Russia, Siberia, and we flew over Mongolia to Beijing. And it sounds crazy, but we had an incredible time. And it's very important to know that your music can definitely reach such, distant and different cultures. And we had like really die-hard fans there, and it was nice to meet them. Definitely.
That speaks for itself. That's great. In December 2012, Moonspell released the book 20th 20th anniversary, and I was kind of like scramble under the merch table trying to look if you guys carry a copy, where people can find a copy of this album. You guys carry on tour or not?
Well, we couldn't bring it on tour, even though it was a cool idea, because it's bilingual. It's written in English and in Portuguese, so people can read it. But tours are not what we expect, of all the cargo and all the instruments, and some things get left on the way. But what we're going to do, even though the book can be bought through our official web store in Europe, what we're going to do is that we're trying to set up like a business here as well in the States, with the company that sells all Moonspell merchandise that is harder to find here, and also the book. And the next plan for the book when we get back home is also to do a really cheap priced ebook that costs like $5, and that will have the book in Portuguese, Spanish, and English, so everybody or most of our fans can read it.
Definitely looking forward to it. But I mean, pretty much I will say I look forward for the physical copy. I like physical copies more than anything. It's no doubt that Moonspell changed the course of gothic metal. It was changed, I mean, with bands like Type O Negative, Paradise Lost, and bands from that caliber. And the scene is different today of I was back in '95, like not when you guys started. What do you feel that? Do you think that your advice to people that wants to?
Well, first, it's really hard for these times to be relived in a way. In a way, it was like the '70s. You got to be there, even though it wasn't such a large movement, but it was very as important to us as for many people were the '70s or in the '80s. And I look up to all these bands that you mentioned, because there was a very very nice feeling at the time where the crowd was very willing for bands to experiment. And believe it or not, this encourages a lot of bands to do probably great albums, because they are not like attached to a style that people are like demanding or expecting from them. That happened a lot in the 90s with great albums from Type O, Paradise Lost, with Catatonia, with Sentence, with The Gathering. I think it was a very blossoming scene, and we were a part of that scene as well. Then things changed a little bit, but fortunately these days I feel people, because they have seen it all kinds of metal, they are we're having a much better time now than we had like in 98, 99, 2000, because people were not listening to this. They were listening to more either power metal or brutal stuff. There was not, they wanted something, in my opinion, they wanted something more black or white, not the grey that bands such as Moonspell, Catatonia, or Paradise Lost can offer them. And unfortunately, all these bands kept their path concentrated, focused, and releasing albums and albums until we gained again the audience favor. For us, it happened with Memorial, especially, even though the other albums like Darkness and Hope and Antidote were very appreciated by our fans. With Memorial, we gave a step up, continued by 90 Turn and Alpha Noir. So I think those times you cannot leave, but I think these times nowadays there's more metal people. There's people listening to more forms of metal, and also these more avant-garde bands, let's call it this way, they have a place on this scene as well. It was hard to get here, but I think it's great, and is again on all festivals and all again on the fans' radar, definitely.
Great. Well, Fernando, thank you very much for taking the time to speaking with us tonight. Thank you for a great show. Good luck in the rest of the tour, and definitely looking forward to the next Moonspell show, probably next year, hopefully.
I hope so.
And definitely good luck with the rest of the tour. And yeah, thank you very much.
All right, rock on.
Under the stars and the Venus, the clock is ticking.